Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to go through how the research community can get involved in the KnowLedger project, which is extremely important because although the project is fundamentally to build a piece of software that the research community can use for research data management, in a sense, the more important and maybe bigger piece of the puzzle is getting the research community involved in a way of contributing what they feel is necessary to add to the KnowLedger system in terms of functionality. Again, if this is across multiple disciplines, which is the nominal intent, then we need to have interface elements that can work for all different types of researchers, and we don't have that knowledge initially, and so as a consequence, we need the research community to collaborate with us and contribute to the functionality and design in the sense of what the KnowLedger software will look like and how it will function. So here's a graphic that represents what we think of as the ecosystem in the KnowLedger project. And on the right-hand side is a set of octagons that we use to represent GitHub repositories that are where the community can be involved by contributing to the definition of these areas. By that we mean, how do we set up modules that show up in the interface? How do we design templates for research experiments? How do we design workflows, or how do we import definitions of workflows from other pieces of software? So in another video, I've talked in more detail about the set of GitHub repositories that the community can contribute to feed in the kinds of things that the KnowLedger interface is going to need to have to work for lots of different research scientists. But here I want to add to this particular perspective of how you in the community can contribute to the project by kind of going through some other mechanisms by which I think the research community can really help us get the message across, promote this project, and generally get us to a point where there is a significant enough of community involvement that we can get somewhere in this project in the 2 years that it will be on. So on this slide, I've kind of pulled together a number of different ways in which we think the research community can really help us with this project. The first one is a repository we've already put up on GitHub. This is called KnowU, and literally it's a way in which we're asking the community to tell us the kinds of tools and software and data formats and frameworks that you work with in the research that you do. Literally, the site is sort of basically targeted to try and aggregate from the community all of the different things that are really used in research efforts so that we can know what they are and try as best we can to make that functionality available in the KnowLedger interface. On the previous slide, I talked about the ecosystem activities through the GitHub repositories in a broad sense. Of course, you can contribute to one or more of those. And if you're really interested in one, of course, you might be able to be a kind of like a collaborator in a more formal sense via being part of one of those repositories. So certainly, if something strikes you as a very important topic that you're really interested, reach out to us, because we're always looking for champions for each of those ecosystem activities. Of course, we will have a version of the software available nominally in Q3 of 2025 as a beta version. And so we would love you to download that and obviously test it out. But in addition, we will have obviously an alpha version, and that will be a limited access alpha version. So if anybody's interested in that, you should contact me relative to being part of that process. Obviously, simply, you can broadly promote this activity to your community, however you normally communicate. If you feel a bit more interested in it, then you might give presentations about this project, and we will have some slide decks available for you to reuse to do such a thing. But of course, we'll also have videos of those slide decks where I go through the activities and the description of the project, so that those can just be made available to your research community for anybody to look at. We would really like it if you felt inclined to write a letter of support for this project, and that's a very forward-thinking thing for us because this project is only a 2-year project. It's funded by NSF as a high-risk, high-reward project, and so as much as we have a clear idea of what we want to accomplish in this project. The fact that it is very much involved with the community means we're not exactly sure how far this will go, but we certainly hope that it will act as a seed project for a future project that we write a proposal for. So if you were really interested in this, we would love you to write a letter of support for this project so that we can include that in the funding proposals that we develop subsequently. Now, if you are really interested in this project and can commit either some resources, person hours for instance, or additional in-kind funding, please let us know, because obviously the more support we have, the more we can do. We're not necessarily targeting that to any particular area, so it would be whatever would be of interest to you in terms of providing time or funding to do particular projects. And then finally, because this is, again, such a big project, if you are really, really interested in this and see, a real not only need for this in your community, but this sort of strikes the right chord for how to help your community move into a direction of better research data management, and therefore you want to write a grant proposal, we would be happy for you to do that. We don't necessarily have to be part of the team, but obviously we would like an acknowledgement and a chance to read the proposal. So, literally you can get involved in many, many, many different ways based on interest in the project and of course availability of time. So please help us build this out as widely as we can in the 2 years that we have funding for. We look forward to all of your contributions.